Alright, how we doing, folks? Your boy Marcus18205. The number's after the name, and I gotta reach over here for my phone, man. This shit blowing up, and I don't even got anyone near me, man. Sorry for the week hiatus. Take a little break, you know. Sometimes you gotta take a little break in life, man, in terms of just life in general and the YouTube game as well, you know what I'm saying. But we back at it, man. Game's beating over here on the Monday. It's pretty much the game I'm beating this year. I'm throwing up over here, throwing a couple words, dropping a little knowledge, dropping it where it's hot, dropping it where it's not as hot, like in this place where it's pretty close over here. Unravel, the homie Yarny, man. If you haven't checked this game out, I highly recommend it. Even though I ended up giving it a 7.8 out of 10. And I don't know if I'm supposed to save these. I don't know if I'm supposed to save these numbers till the end of the video, but I don't really care. I'll throw them in there anyway. And it's probably game number 9 I beat here this year. I want to say so many good things about it, but in the end, it was kind of just a little bit lukewarm how I ended up feeling about it. The visual style, obviously, it's his biggest forte, you know, and it was the first thing that I noticed is when I saw it, I was like, wow, like that looks really good, like photorealistic kind of, but still, you know, a little artsy to it, and just got a little feel and a little flair to it that I enjoyed. You know, I looked at it and I was like, hey, you know, that's something I could definitely get down with. That's kind of the big positive, right? But the graphics only get you so far, and I'm not really a graphics whore, nor do I really care about graphics. I'll play a good game, and if you looked over here, just games beaten, especially like this one specifically, Unravel, Double Dragon 2, the Bulletproof game, and then I don't even know what the last one's gonna be this month. Depends on how I feel. If it was even beat anything, man, because I'm knee deep in XCOM right now, and I'm knee deep in Bloodborne, and I'm knee deep in a bunch of games. And I don't know if I'm ever gonna get out of them because of how knee deep I am in them. Going back to the homie Yarny though, so graphics isn't really like something I'm crazy about or that I need in my life, but they do set apart Yarny in his own style. Also, what sets it apart is just the fact that you got such a close visual on the character. You don't normally get that, you know. Normally we see somebody in the third person, you're in the first person, it's kind of your own perspective, but this is kind of a, hey, we're really up close and personal with you get to see things that for us are normal, you know, like a car. For Yarny are like huge obstacles, you know, so that's pretty cool in itself. I really enjoyed that kind of dynamic as well. So those are kind of the big pros over here, and you know, the storyline is a little bit sad, a little bit happy sometimes, and it's kind of told through pictures and stuff, and the narrative style is fine. Music good as well. I mean, this is supposed to reflect, I think, Sweden. I believe it's in Sweden or Switzerland. I'm going to say Sweden, actually, I believe, you know. So it's something that seems very similar over here to American culture, but, you know, it still's got its own uniqueness and its own fresh take over here. Some negatives about Yarny. You know, the controls aren't really the best. They're good. They're solid. They're not the best, though. The puzzles, you could argue that after you do, like, the first 2 levels, they're the same exact thing over and over again, just in different varieties, you know. And I guess that's kind of how puzzle games work in general, so there's not really too much you could harp on that. But you kind of wish that there was a little bit more difficulty when it came to it, you know. You kind of wish, and this is actually what I'm showing you here, just to preface, this is like the last stage, maybe stage and a half, you know. That snow side kind of was its own thing, even though I believe it continues into the spring and whatnot. But it's kind of the last stage and a half over here of the game. I know I bring over here at the end of the game anyway, so I wanted to throw this up over here. And maybe in the Freestyle Friday, I'll bring you another level or something just to give you some thoughts of that, even though I believe I put one up already. So make sure you check that video out as well. So there's a bunch of different puzzles. I really never felt, you know, one of the catches with Yarny was supposed to be, or with Unravel, is that Yarny runs out of yarn to get a certain point. So it almost kind of created this artificial economy where you needed to maneuver your way with a certain amount of yards, a certain amount of spots. Let's talk XCOM, for example. Let's talk like Fire Emblem. It's like you could only move a certain amount of spaces, and you have to play around with those spaces. Not necessarily as hard as those games, obviously, where there are literally just spaces. But in this case, it's, hey, you're going to run out of yarn at some point. Don't go as far to the point where you can't. I literally only ran out of yarn like 3 or 4 times. The game's not that difficult. Some puzzles do require a little thinking, though, and a little like flexing. The kind of the trump card of the X Factor when it came to the puzzles was when you'd get a puzzle that that had nothing to do with something. You know, when you'd get a puzzle that involved like a third party kind of thing. So let's say there's like a crank for like a boat, or you know, like a lever that opens like a door You know, that's kind of the stuff where you didn't really know how it was going to react, so you didn't know what to say. You're like, okay, I don't really know what exactly I'm doing here. But in terms of when it was just tree branches, there's just a couple things. You kind of figured it out over here. The ladder levels weren't that great to it, which I think is something you could honestly say for a lot of video games, so I'm not really going to harp on Yarny too much for that. I think we found those first couple stages. I know specifically in an NES game you do, because you play them over and over again, but go back and think about it, you know. When you look at a Super Mario 64, it's like, oh man, I love, you know, just the opening Castle Grounds. I love Bomb Battlefield. I don't know if anyone likes Jolly Rancher Bay, but, you know, Swamp Fortress, you know. No one goes up to you and tells you, like, hey, you know what, man, I really like that, I don't even remember these names, the one with all the water and the little, the snow level, you know, not the first one, but the second one. You don't even know the rest of these stages. I played Super Mario 64 1,000 times, but you don't really, you know, Rainbow Road, I don't think that was Rainbow Road, Tick-Tock Tower, whatever the hell that thing was called. You don't remember none of that stuff, man. You know, those ladder stages are just like, alright, this is trying to put me to the test, and it's very difficult for games to get the ladder stages right, and I think Yarny was a little bit, even though the snow stage I showed at the beginning here, I really enjoyed, and I thought it brought some good elements in terms of moving the lantern and stuff that were pretty cool. But those first couple stages, specifically, I remember there was one with a beach, and there was some crabs and stuff. Those were cool, man, because all of a sudden you have to interact with different animals and stuff. There was one where you're going through like a field, and crows are attacking you at hide and stuff. So it's really cool bringing in other aspects from real life into Yarny and seeing how it would affect him. Like I said, I ended up giving it a 7.8 out of 10. I would definitely play this game. It's a 5 to 10 hour game, depending on how you play it. I'd probably be in like 6 to 8, honestly. But I didn't. It took me a while. I played it like multiple sittings. You know, I didn't actually sit down and beat it in one day. It probably took me like 3 or 4 sittings to actually get through those 5 or 6 hours, 6 to 8, whatever the hell they are. I would definitely recommend it. You know, I think it was $20. Nothing, whatever. It's $20 that you will definitely enjoy, and it's a game that I can honestly see myself going back to. You know, because it's not too long. And it's got, you know, some hidden stuff that I didn't quite figure out, and that's another aspect to it. There's some collectibles that you can figure out. Some are pretty obvious, some aren't necessarily. So I think like for every stage I normally got 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5. You know, and I think there's 8 or 9 stages. So do the math over there. There's a good amount of collectibles over there. The collectibles do require a little more thinking, a little more challenging as to, hey, where are they? And then sometimes they'll put them in plain sight and be like, how do you get there? You know, so in that sense, there's definitely some good level design with that comes from. This is the first people you actually see in the whole game over here at the end of the game, you know. And there's a little bit of a storyline to it. It's not really anything too crazy. There's the homie Yarny, man. I really hope there's a Yarny 2. I don't think there'll ever be one, honestly. I'm not sure how much this produced EA or whatnot. I'm sure the publisher would like to move on to something else. But hope you guys enjoy the video, man. Your boy Marcos. We outie.